All right, all right. I got two of my guests for today in the studio. Say hey to everybody.
Hey, family, how are you all doing today?
All right, that was Khalid or Khalid. I always mess up your name. Gina, you in the house?
Mike checker 1 2 1 2. Gina Lamar in the building.
All right, all right. We in the house. Okay, Gina, unmute your mic. We're about to start the show. I'm about to get going.
Okay,
I'm just getting to my verbiage here, and then we're
that'll
gonna
work.
go on, and you'll know when you're on because you'll hear me start to introduce you.
All right.
All right, all right. Hey, hey, it's Xavier Fox, your host of Let's Talk About It. I want to thank everybody for joining us this month of October as we have launched the first talk show on the Blaze of Up Cigar Radio Network. And today we're going to meet my guest hosts, Gina Lamar and Khalid Scott, and talk about sex and relationships. And then later on in the show, Ron Wilson will check in with us from his vacation spot. You know, some of us get to go on vacation while it's getting cold. And he's going to chat with us about investing in crypto. If you have questions on either segment, feel free to zoom in using the link on my Facebook page. Today is the last of the launch shows. So make sure that you check in on the radio show page of my website, xavierfox.com, for the schedule of shows to see when your favorite personality or topic is scheduled for the month of November. I'm so excited. Everybody gets to be turned loose on their own show. I cannot wait. So let's get to it. So Gina and Khalid, I'm gonna I know I said I was gonna do you guys one at a time. Well, maybe I shouldn't use that verbiage since we're gonna talk.
Decided to do us
What kind of
together
party
now.
is
But
this?
I decided I'm gonna do y'all
No.
together. How about that? So as
I
I
am a
asked,
church going man.
yeah, well, you're gonna be calling
Oh,
on
them the
God
ones
today,
that
but not for that reason. But anyway,
no, those are the ones that do it the best.
anyway.
Absolutely.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my questions, and so the question will pertain to you and to it will pertain to both of y'all. Khalid can go first, and then Gina, you follow up, and I might have some questions in between. So I'll probably just say your name when it's time for you to go again. Is that cool?
All
Absolutely.
right.
Okay. So how y'all be today? Y'all ready for this wonderful journey we going on?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am looking forward to talking to the village
Okay.
about what I feel is a very important topic, our relationships and our sex lives, because they all go hand in hand.
They definitely do. So first, Khalid, tell us a little bit about yourself. We see all the letters behind your name and stuff. So tell us who you are and what all of that means.
Well, you know what? Listen, I'm a black man in social work, so I got to have the alphabets. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying?
Yes.
So basically, I am a 28-year licensed clinical social worker. During the day, I work at the VA hospital, working with homeless vets. And then in the evenings, I have both a private practice with international high achievers and with DCFS. Helping our babies have better lives as a clinician as well. And I'm also a mentor and I'm a dad and I'm everything else in this world to help do God's work to help our people be better than they was before. So
Okay.
that's me.
And on a personal level, you said you're a dad. So you're a father, a son, a
Yes,
uncle, a friend. Tell us
absolutely.
how your personal life and your professional life. Are you always analyzing your friends?
Yes, absolutely I am. I can't help it now. It's like God has the best sense of humor in the universe because it's like I have a village of friends who I could write a series and it would be a bestseller. I promise you. Or if they made it into a movie, it would have the highest ratings. And I think I live vicariously, especially through my male friends, with all the things they're doing out here in this world, you know.
Mm,
And I think I draw people to me, you know, why wouldn't I? You know, and I need to because of this is God's work I'm doing, helping folks in crisis.
Okay.
And, my number one job is being Anaya's dad, because my daughter helps center me, and she helps me with my focus, and she helps me work harder to make the world better for her.
Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. All right, Gina Lamar, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm kind of the exact opposite. No, I'm kidding. When he said about relationships and sex, I start with the sex and then we go into the relationships, right? So okay. I am a public health expert, and I like to call it a healthy relations expert, because while HIV is my specialty, but it's all communicable diseases, right? So when COVID came along, excuse me, it worked right into what I do for public health, anything that is communicable and transmittable. And I launched Monday Night Mingle about 10 years ago, because I decided, or 9 years ago, because I decided I was tired of you being in my office infected and or impacted with gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis, HIV. I said, let's start having the conversation before you get, impacted. So that's what I do. I have no children. I am the perfect, wonderful aunt to 17 boys. I have no nieces, right? So I have great nieces. And when you hear me say nieces, I'm talking of my best friend's nieces or something, right? Or their daughters, because no girls were born amongst my siblings since me in 36 years, right? So I have great nieces, I finally got one she's 17 now, but that was, for 36 years, nothing. So I'm the youngest child, right? I was just curious. I'm the youngest child, and I have 2 siblings left. And yeah, this is what I do. I mingle.
Okay. Khalid, how did you get into marriage counseling?
Wow. Well, let's see. The pandemic happened. And what happened was I started getting all these phone calls, and it started off with, my friends. And as of right now, I have 9 friends going through divorce proceedings.
Wow.
And it hit me a year ago that, you know what? My people need help with love.
Yes.
And I've been the love and relationship expert since Art Sims gave me the title of Mr. Relationship Chat 20-something years ago.
Okay. And
when he did that, it stuck with me, because it's like, wow, I come from a background where love was not in the house. I grew up in a single parent home. And, I always let folks know my mom's background. My mom was a mistress for 16 years. So I saw a married man come into my home and be my dad. Mm. And even though it was a dysfunctional relationship on the outside, it worked on the inside. So, and then I've been married and I'm divorced and now I'm healed. So I've been through the spectrum of relationships. And now I use my wisdom, and I even use my pain and hurt from my divorce to help others be better, because I don't want anyone to go to the Daily Center on the 30th floor anymore. And that's divorce court for those who don't know.
Oh, wow.
And it's just my ministry right now, helping married couples and couples who are about to get married now.
And that's important. That's actually the most important spot, the ones that are about to get married, because should they actually get married?
Yes.
That's always a question. Gina, how did you get into the sex industry?
I know, right? I jokingly say, if you had asked me at 6, 16, or 26 that I would get paid to talk about sex for a living, it didn't make sense, right? Who knew HIV would be here? I didn't recognize that because I just took it as a job out of college, right? I'm the Chicago Defender, sitting in the hairdresser, read an ad and said, oh, this sounds nice. And in the HIV world, we like to say, I drank the Kool-Aid, right? Okay. Once I understood what it really meant, and the public health side is one thing. And, that's what I always tell people. You can save their, when I go to the church, right? And they say, only talk about abstinence. I said, you can worry about saving their souls. I need to save their lives, right? Because I don't care what kind of sex you have. I just care that you do not pass and or contract an STI. So that's how it happened for me. And once I understood that I was saving my community this way, it's fun. Like, who doesn't want to talk about sex, right? Like,
Right.
That's how it works. And my segment Raw is because one of my lines really and truly is, I have a master's in public health. I can work on flu shots in Florida, the Bolivia virus in Bolivia. I can work on the coronavirus in Corona, California. But y'all keep me with a job right here because everybody wants to have sex raw. If you wrap it up, put me out of business. Let me go work on something else. But reality is that it's not just about the physical. There is so much more to be said about why I have unprotected sex, right? Because I trust this person. I don't believe this person is at risk, right? And people always try to connect sex, unprotected sex, with promiscuity. Another one of my lines is, if I have breast cancer, you say poor Gina. If I have HIV, you say promiscuous Gina. Nah, I just had sex with my husband. My husband happened to be Magic Johnson, who came home with HIV. You know what I mean? So that's how it is connected for me. And I'm sorry, it is connected for me, and it just makes total sense. And, at this point, who wants to stop talking about sex? I don't.
Yeah, I don't want to stop having sex, but I did.
You got
it. So, Khalid, you said you have a private practice. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, it's called International High Achievers, and with Dr. Jenny Christerner. Our primary office is in Schaumburg, and the thing is that I've been there since September, and I'm already have a waiting list.
Wow!
And this tells you how much people are in need, and especially, get this, ladies, men are calling in asking for mental health services.
Thank God.
Men. Yes.
There's hope for us now, Xavier. There's hope for us.
Oh my goodness! I thought it was a typo on the microphones.
And you know what the thing is? Men are ready to do the work because we're failing. And what folks don't understand is when a man loses out on a relationship, get a divorce, break up, it does something to us as well, because it gives us a strong sense of failure, right? But what happens is we don't have the outlets to talk about it, or we're not supposed to talk about it because we're supposed to man up, and guess what? We're supposed to get the next woman. Yeah. In fact, we're not even supposed to break up before we have a transition woman already in place.
Oh.
You understand what I'm saying? Because I ain't supposed to be alone. I'm not supposed to be alone. And so a lot of your sisters are okay with that, even though they cry on y'all's shoulder and say they not. They real okay with it.
Yeah.
Because then I wouldn't have the male clientele that I have.
Yes.
So we need to really peel the layers back on relationship issues and sex issues with both men and women, because both are perpetrators and both are villains.
It sounds like I need to create a forum where we can do that all together. So Gina, I've been to Monday Night Mingle a couple times, but tell me how Monday Night Mingle came about, and just tell the listeners about it.
So along with Monday Night Mingle, I now have a case management agency. I left the county last year and opened my own agency. So it's so someone said, "Oh, you had an agency." I said, "Well, it's really a spinoff of Monday Night Mingle, because Monday Night Mingle is really what everybody knows, right?" And like I said, I just decided I didn't want to wait until you were a patient of mine. You can still be my customer. You just don't have to be a patient. Right. You can be a customer. So I put it, I tried the whole, funny you should mention, Khalid, that you should mention Chat Daddy, because we started doing relationship chats together at the same time back at Jazz and Java, right? Long time ago.
Yes.
I was doing workshops for women, and he did relationships, and bam, he is known, as Chat Daddy, right? Mm-hmm. And I tried using the library, different places. I promise you, out of nowhere, wow, and now I'm getting emotional. I think you guys know I'm at a funeral, and the person's funeral I'm at did the very first Monday Night Mingle with me at Red's. And
Wow.
we put it in a bar. We put it in a bar, added tequila, condoms, and lube, and it blew up.
Oh.
And here we are, 10,000 followers later, you know, talking about it, right? And so it was one of those things where we just recognize that people need to talk about it. So it's disguised as relationship chat. And I always say it's a public health initiative, and we just put it in the form of relationship chat. People don't want to talk about HIV and gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis, especially when you're trying to get it on, right? But they have no problem talking about, you know, relationships and cheating and, you know, what type of relationship you want. So that's what Monday Night Mingle is. And X, you've hosted, you know, she's come on to the mic for me, you know, over the years and just had those great questions. Although I will say, nobody shows up at Monday Night Mingle better than her daughter. Because like we did it on the beach, and we had what's the thing you go, a limbo, and baby,
Yes.
when I got low, get low. Everybody still talks about that one, right? Because we just turned it into like game night, you know, turned it into game.
It was so much fun. That was so cool.
Yeah, just to do it that way. So yeah, so that's what Monday Night Mingle is. And Nephews, the name of the case management agency is Nephews, specifically because I have no kids and no nieces. And I always say it's named for the nephews, run by the nieces. So that's pretty much what Monday Night Mingle is, and Nephews. That's what we do.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned when you called me on the mic that day, because, you know, my daughter, we came out there and just chilling. I said, we're going to go over here. My girlfriend, she runs this month. I said, it'll be fun, you know, because that's what daughter is about. And so when you called me to the mic, she said, did you know she was going to do that? I was like, mm-mm. She said, are you ready? I said, you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So I just wandered right on up there to the mic and did what I do, you know, because it's what you do. And, you know, another thing is really funny that you guys both mentioned Art Chat Daddy Sims, because he was one of the first people that actually put me on the air in Chicago and then made me a regular on his show. And oddly enough, he is my first special guest interview on Monday. So you guys have to tune in Monday because he'll be on the show as well.
Very nice.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So I wanted to know, Khalid, what is your proudest moment?
What is my proudest moment in regards to specifically?
Hey, what's going on?
Whatever you
just in
think,
life.
in life, whatever you think.
Just in life. My proudest moment, it's two of them, really. The day God gave me the epiphany to become a social worker, I kid you not, because I was in college. I was a computer program major. And he said, no, sir, I'm gonna give you a different assignment. And he said, you're gonna help these babies out here, and you're gonna help their parents out here, and you're gonna help your village out here. And then second, August 21st, 2002 at 12:36 a.m. when I became Anaya Scott's dad. Those are my proudest moments.
Say that. I love it.
And Gina, what was your proudest moment?
Yikes. Okay. Now, really, I missed that coming. Now, believe it or not, I'm busy all up in Khalid's thing that I totally missed my own question coming. Yikes. That's a really good one, right? Probably my 1 year anniversary this year of having my own agency, because I truly left being employed by anybody, right? And so the fact that I made it to that year and I was still standing, like that was my proudest moment. I really and truly could say up to this year. Like, of course, you know, there are things over the years, but you know, definitely that was it.
All right.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But you have me thinking about things now, X, from my show that I want to make sure that I keep going, right? So this interview, I like the way this is going, because that you know, as I do my show every third Monday, right? I was about to say third Thursday, every third Monday. I want to make sure that I too have great questions like that stump my guests.
Okay.
that they didn't see coming, right? Like we have all these other things, but I like that your proudest moment. So yeah.
And so let's go to the flip side. Khalid, what was your toughest moment?
My toughest moment was getting divorced.
Mm.
My toughest moment. I signed up for the Walt Disney movie, meaning I thought I was gonna have the happily ever after, effect, that I was gonna break the curse, and I'm the first one in my family, grandchild to get married and have a house and do everything, the way the world tells you you're supposed to do it. And then I followed again the assignment that Oprah and all the women said in Cosmopolitan and Essence magazine. I didn't cheat, I didn't creep, I didn't beat. I thought I did everything right, and I'm divorced. And the irony to this, and not to throw shade, is that my buddies, the guys I know, they do all those things, and their
And they
wives
still got their
love
wives.
them.
Yeah.
Love them. And that was an indicator to me how toxic we are. And that we just didn't develop this. This comes from generations.
Right.
This comes from generations. Think about going back to slavery. Families, men had to watch their wives being molested and beat, and families separated. And how many of our granddaddies got sad families?
Yep.
How many we got cousins and aunties and uncles we don't even know about? And then carry on to us, our generation, So, and I'm also a mentor. And now I have my mentees who are in their 20s and 30s like, no, sir, coach, not getting married. I don't have to.
Yeah.
I don't have to. And because of men like you and my uncles and stuff, y'all telling me why I shouldn't be married. And I'm like, no, we got to change the trajectory here, because marriage is supposed to be a wonderful thing, but it's not looked upon no more as that. And to have to make money, I make money off of married people in misery. Guys, let that sizzle in your spirit.
Yeah.
Let that sit. Let that sit in your spirit. I make money off of misery. We got to do something different. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. 9 of my friends are divorcing.
9.
I have a running joke. I have 27 garter belts in a bag. Don't laugh at me and do not judge me, Xavier. I just like catching garters. Hey, why not?
No judgment here.
Right, no judgment. I just like, I like catching garters. Out of the 27, 20 are not married no more.
Wow.
20 are not married anymore. So think about that. I've been to 27 weddings where 20 of them are not married anymore since the 90s. That's very telling.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very telling.
Okay, Gina, what was your toughest moment?
January 22nd, 2000. I buried my parents in a double casket funeral.
What?
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
2 parents sat at the front of Holy Angels Church on Saturday, January 22nd. So that is one of the times. So you guys remember 2000 when it was coming in, and at midnight, everybody thought the world was going to come to an end and all the computers were going to stop. And, remember all of that, collecting the water and the goods, because when we went from the 90s to the 2000s, they didn't know everything was going to crash. So in my head, my mother died January 10th, and I was like, okay, shit, maybe they were just off with the days, because clearly this is, the world is coming to an end. My father, was sent home from the hospital in hospice with cancer, and my mother died that very day on the table having surgery, right? And so it was truly one of those things when I said, okay, this is it, right? So again, if you think about, January 10th, she died. 6 days later, he died, right? So not those dates. Those dates are major. But January 22nd, when we laid them to rest and, the reality set in with both of them sitting at the front of that church, hilariously, I did a stand-up skit about it. I was doing a project with the women in Chicago Department of Public Health. And I did, people were like, that is brilliant. I said, no, it might have been funny, but it's truly what happened, right? Like, all I just talked about was like how, how crazy, how death brings out the crazy in family members, right? I think one of the jokes was, and still is, when to this day, everybody walked into the house and said, oh, what are you doing with the house? What are you doing with the house? And I was like, damn, X, I thought you were a talk show host. Damn, Khalid, I thought you were, a therapist, right? Everybody's a realtor now. But like, don't want that nonsense, right? Like, well,
Wow.
watch families fight over nonsense, right? Well, our parents had done a really great job of making sure that we don't fall for the okie doke on those types of things. So, but still, like, the absolute hardest day was that day, the day that happened. So yeah, January 22nd for me.
Yeah, I can only imagine that
Wow.
that was, and it's crazy. You guys know I lost my dad a year ago, and it's really crazy because it's like, so for me, it wasn't necessarily the funeral that was the hardest, but when I had to go and check the body to make sure he was dressed and groomed properly, man, I so broke down at that moment. It's kind of like, once you're in there, when my husband was killed, when the car from the funeral home came to pick us up, that was hardest thing ever. I was like, am I really doing this? And I got two kids there, I'm just like, is this, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, everybody is, there and stuff, but it's just, oh my God, I totally, Gina. Whew,
yeah.
My heart definitely go out to you on that. I can't even imagine that.
It's funny you said that. I tell the story talking about, like, the day I buried them, but you're absolutely right. The thing that used to break me down for a very long time, seeing a funeral procession, baby, would take me out, because it would just remind me, like, oh, that is somebody is sitting on the front pew of that church. And that's one of the other things I learned too, as we talk about relationships and things. What I learned is that there is nothing you can do to thank people enough, to acknowledge them enough, other than to be there for them, because everybody gets a day on that front pew.
Yes.
Everybody gets a day on that front pew. I don't care if it's your mother, your grandmother, your sibling, your spouse, your child, your best friend. Everybody gets their day. And the best thing you can do is just simply be there for them, because ain't nothing we can do. Everything is negotiable. Your marriage, your divorce, your having children, not having children, even your taxes. You just go to jail like Wesley Snipes did, right? Like, everything's negotiable. The only thing that I have never been able to renegotiate was the death of my parents and my siblings, and one of my nephews, right? So, like, that those are the things that make it really, really real for me.
Wow.
I want to say this, and then I'm going to ask the next question. You said negotiable, and I often said that about my husband's death, because we weren't at the same place at the same time. That he died the day before New Year's Eve. I was in Milwaukee waiting for him to come from New York, because he wanted to work that last day, because they were going to make triple time for that day. And then he was walking.
Yeah.
I got a phone call that morning that he had that some stuff had transpired and he was dead. And I listen to people, and this is nothing against divorce, but it's just my perspective. I listen to people talk about divorce as like a death. And I always say, no, it's not like because you guys came to that decision or, circumstance. I didn't have any conversation about my husband's death. There was nothing for me to negotiate. I had no input. I had no anything. Yep. So when you said negotiating about death, I relate that because often I was very sensitive about that at one point in life. I would actually hop into a lot of conversations on Facebook where people were talking about divorces like death. I'm like, no, I had nothing to say, and even in death with a divorce, you can still see your kids. My kid can't see her dad, ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can't co-parent. We can't do anything. It's totally over. So divorce to me is not like that. It may be painful, but it doesn't have the same repercussions. It doesn't build up to it the same. You know the divorce is coming. You got a date for that. You don't know that's coming. You don't have a date. But anyway.
Yeah.
Powerful, Xavier.
I am gonna jump in one thing before the therapist gets in here and says it for me. But no, not for me, because I don't know if you say this, but I say this all the time about if we get divorced, y'all say, get out there, Gina, start dating again, do your thing, right? But if we get my husband dies, you're dating again. He's only been dead 5 years. How now, divorced, I could possibly get back. Death, I know it's not coming back. But they will dog a widow out. I mean, not they, we. You know what I mean? People will dog a widow out about getting married. I mean, or about moving on, right? Like, you can't do that, right? But divorce, you could possibly get back with your husband. Death, you know he's not coming back. But that's just how I've been trained to do, right? Like,
exactly.
Hang on to nonsense. And I think that's really where the therapy comes in. Because we hold stuff, that we should have been let go.
Okay, so that was deep, and I had something to say, but I see we're starting to get callers and stuff, so we're gonna keep on going. So we can get to the point where we can actually take callers. So I would be remiss being known for relationship discussions if I didn't get into your business a little bit, okay? And so, Khalid, are you single?
Yes, I am single and dating.
Okay. And so my next question to follow up, I have 2 follow-up questions behind that. Why do you think you're single?
I am single by choice, and I'm absolutely loving it. In fact, I just did a post on Facebook where I just had to make it real clear that, guys, I am okay. I'm okay. And I am so glad that my village cares enough to say, well, Khalid, we don't want you by yourself. But I had to let folks know Khalid is dandy. Khalid is dandy being a single man out here in America. Because what happens is I was in relationships from age 19 all the way to 43. Because I'm a relationship guy, hands down. And again, my divorce was a turning point for me because I had to understand what is life now without a mate, and what is life now being a single man who's raising a girl child. Okay, and I've also understood that at some point after I make the sacrifice for my kid, to take care of Khalid, because us people who do social service work, we always say we need to make self-care the number one priority, but we never do. We always make it the bottom of the totem pole as something that's important for us. And when my baby left to go to college last year on her 18th birthday, I got on that airplane. When I flew into O'Hare, I was like, it's my turn. It's my turn. I get to have fun out here. I get to live in my big, beautiful house with my 6-figure salary, and I'm going to drive this Cadillac and meet the ladies. And I've been doing it. And now, am I a male? No, I'm not. I'm still going to be the gentleman. And I always let the ladies know on first dates, prior to the first date, the first conversation, hey, I'm in here to have companionship and have fun. Relationship, I'm not looking for that right now. So now I'm giving you the option. We don't have to go out, but you just need to know because I hate taking people's choices away. I hate taking people options away. And I know me, I'm romantic. So it wouldn't be too hard for you to fall for me, and that's not me being arrogant. But remember, you guys, I got to teach people about having high self-esteem. So I have to be the person who practice it, And so even though I'm a 250-pound man, in my head, I still look like Morris Chestnut. You know what I'm saying? And I act accordingly, you know? So that's my story, you know, and I'm sticking to it. Will I get married? I used to say a hard no a year ago, but maybe when I'm older, but not now. I just kind of want to live life on my terms right now.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that answers the second question too. The follow-up question to that was, do you enjoy being single? But you already said you did. And I think
Yes.
all of us who are friends with you and actually know you,
Yeah.
I think we were all a little concerned when Anaya went away because you put so much time and energy into her. I was like, what he gonna do now?
Yeah. Yeah. I had a date that weekend following when she left. I
Oh
promise you.
man.
Uh-huh.
Wait.
Yep. You were really single and ready to mingle.
Hold on, ladies. My inbox was getting hit when I was on the plane because
I bet
people
it
knew I
was.
dropped my baby off.
I bet it was. You got the beard and like you said, the house, the car, and the salary and stuff, the bald head, and you chocolate. So what else they gonna Yep. So what else they gonna
Love
they don't
it.
know you gonna psychoanalyze them. So crazy up front.
Okay.
All right, Gina, it's your turn. Are you single?
I am single and ready to mingle. Okay, no, it just
Wow.
sounds good, right? It sounded really great. Yes, I am definitely single. I date. I date. That's the best way to put it. I definitely am gonna get me another sucker. I mean husband.
Oh Lord.
I know, as I say that to the marriage counselor, right?
Right.
Right.
I definitely am gonna get me somebody to grow old with, right? There's and to your question, your second question as to why I'm single is because the numbers are just so good for the men. Khalid said it, right? He was just like, men don't have to get married. They get to women share men regularly, and we shouldn't. We shouldn't. But like he said earlier, women say, oh, they act like they didn't know, that he was cheating, or they didn't know that something was happening, yet they did. Women knowingly know that men have other partners, right? The numbers are just good for men right now. Hopefully that's going to change real soon. I don't know what's going to change it, but I just hope that it does. But the reality is they don't have to commit. They don't have to do certain things. And yet they still get to have the pleasure of quality women. I had a breakup about 10 years ago with someone, and just talking about us breaking up, not that either of us ever would, quality guy. We just didn't get married, right? But I said, if he were ever to dated my pool of friends, right, I could come up with 10 women easily that he could have quality relationships with that were quality women, right? When we tried to flip that and do the reverse, like, first of all, he didn't have 10 men that were single, right? That were truly single, not either, married or living with someone. And I don't know that I would call them the same quality, right? That you would. And so something as simple as that just showed the numbers difference between men and women and the ratio that does not allow for us. And I'm not talking about like, professional athletes, $1 million salaries. I'm talking really simple things like just someone who can bring his own to the table, works, has his own place. X, you're out here dating. You the number of men you meet, that when the man does have their own place, it's like, good Lord, wait, what? You don't live
I
with
don't even
some-
date. I really don't even date anymore.
Yeah. I could. That's fine. I'm not ready to give up yet, and I'm not ready to give up on black men. People are like, "Girl, you just gonna get you with somebody else." Nah, I just can't give up on my brothers yet. I just can't do it, and I don't know that I probably don't know that I ever would. So, I'm jokingly saying yet, but nah,
And the thing with me is, and I'm gonna ask you the second question. The thing with me is, it's not that I've given up on men or dating. I just think that because of things, I had to take care of my parents for a while. That was from 2016 to 2019. I'm still kind of dealing with my mom stuff. She's in the nursing home and stuff, but I'm still kind of, connected to some other stuff. And I just don't feel like I am at a place to honestly attract the type of man that I want. what he would want from me, I don't think I could give right now. So I just don't even bother dealing with the stuff that I would attract. So anyway, so are you enjoying being single, Gina?
I am not really. You know what? It's like everything else. You enjoy it on the days that you get a date, right? And you get to meet new people and do new things and have like a really great date at Walmart, right? So that's me. I'm so pathetic. Like that's my life, right? Like, what? We're going to Walmart? We're running. That is a great date for me because I can get shit done and I can, be out, right? But on those days, great. But then there are times, and not lying, that there are times I do miss like cooking for someone, or I do miss having someone that I know when I'm traveling for business or doing something, right, that somebody other than my sisters and my friends who track me on the app, my best friend who tracks me on the app, that somebody knows, hey, I've touched down safely. I got in safely. I got in, in or out, safely. So yeah, there are sometimes I definitely miss having a, full-time partner. I mean, I have people.
I definitely miss it too. So this is the point where I'm gonna be quiet now and let you guys do what you want to do for the next. The interview actually was so good and it took a minute. So you probably got about 10 minutes. Y'all can divide up the time or do it however you want to let the listeners know what your shows will be about starting next month.
Okay, ladies first.
Oh, you meant me. Anyway,
yes.
Resist it. Come on, I couldn't resist it. So my show is titled Gina Lamar Raw. We went over all these different things and stuff, and I really wanted to keep it raw because I'm going to use the acronym every month for something different, right? So, ready and willing, but also resilient as women. So there's so many layers to Raw and so many things that, we'll explain the show in different ways, right? So all of those things make a difference in how I will do the show. When we're really and truly talking about, everything, ready adult women, right? And those are the things that this show, when I keep it raw, and everyone says, oh, I'm gonna keep it real and I'm gonna be real about it or something like that. No, not just necessarily that, but I really want to do a different acronym to it every month that shows all the reasons, and it connects back to the reason I have a job in HIV. Everybody wants to have raw sex. So that's another reason that Raw works all the way across the board. So every third Monday at 7 a.m., I will be waking you up in the middle of the month with a different topic, a different a different guest. It will be my segment. I am so excited. And let me just go back to really quickly, X. Thank you so much for the inclusion. Like, I really appreciate, getting that call. Like, hey, I think I want you on this platform. And so excited now because, while this platform is, you should download the app, The Astute Gentleman, right? So I want everybody downloading the app and keeping up, because when I go to Dallas and bring the noise, I'll be representing the Shy in January. So we're making that happen one way or another. Absolutely. So that's pretty much what the show will be, raw, period.
Ooh, raw. It's something that you said when we were talking earlier about people being raw and it connecting to promiscuity, because so when you're dating, and when I'm dating anyway, if anything is going to jump off, it is not going to be raw, because I don't know you. I don't know your hygiene. I don't know anything about you. And that kind of sends up a red flag, it seems. It shouldn't be red to some guys, because they're like, oh, are you having sex with a lot of people? They turn it back on you like you want to use, because you know that you have something or whatever it is. And I'm like, no, I don't know what you've been doing. I don't know you. Why is that? Why does that happen?
X, have you all been in my conversation this morning? I promise you, just this morning, I had a conversation just like that about this, as I was talking about this show and then talking about unprotected sex. And the person said, oh, I just think, I've seen someone have unprotected sex, I mean, this is years ago, they were kids or whatever and stuff, they were younger, but, like, how dare you just have unprotected sex like that? And I was going, trust me, it happens far more than people say, right? And I know that based on babies, right? Oh, I didn't use a condom one time. Like, do you understand fertility? Fertility doctors would not exist if women could get pregnant just one time. Like, you have lots of unprotected sex probably, and then this one time gets caught up, right? Mm-hmm. But I will say the level of judgment, but it always comes back to the woman, right? When if Khalid and I stood at the front of a church, I'm sitting here looking at a church, and we both had 100 sex partners. Everybody in the room is looking at him saying, man, she slowed that stud down, right? Like, she straight got him to commit. Right. And everybody's looking at him like, I don't believe he's marrying that hoe. You know what I mean? We both have the exact same number of partners, but the sexism is still so real in this country, in the world, in this country, Lord have mercy, in the world, right? Like, and good for you for saying, you will not slut shame me. You will not shame me for we both had unprotected sex, yet somehow or another it falls back on me.
Right. Yeah. How did it come to me? And, my thing is, then he turned around and said that he doesn't use condoms. I said, well, we won't be having sex.
Never. Not never.
I couldn't even believe that, because this is like not that long ago. And within the last 2 years, but, and this was an older guy. And I'm like, what do you mean? He said he's never used the condom. I'm like, oh my Lord.
Oh yeah. You have that, and you have that now more so. And Khalid, I'm going to shut up in 2 seconds, really. But you have that now more so due to erectile dysfunction, right? So condoms really can be an issue with the erectile dysfunction. So they're, when they're standing hard on, I don't use a condom, is like, yeah, okay, you better figure it out, because while we do have PrEP to stop the transmission of HIV. We'll talk about PrEP on one of the shows. It's the little pill to stop you from getting HIV. It doesn't stop gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis. Does not stop that. So you can be out here raw if you want to, but I'm going to stay in business. Okay, that's it. I'm done.
All right. That was great, Gina. Thank you so much.
All right. So my turn. I want to echo my high energy sister Gina's words. Xavier, thank you for this this platform, this forum. I love that you've included me in other platforms before, and I think we just mix well together, sis.
Yes.
And I love you for it, and I love you for being the voice of Black love, Black relationships, and everything that talks about us doing things a little bit better. Absolutely. And my platform is going to be called Relationship Reflections. And basically I got the title because of the 2 R's, of course, that sounded nice, but no, it's talking about my years of not only being out here in relationships, and not just relationships romantic. I'm talking about family relationships, and I'm talking about friendships and community relationships, but primarily romantic relationships. And also just talking about what I've observed as a social worker in regards to our relationships, because relationships are what books are made of, what movies are made of, what television series are made of. And they are the thing that keeps us going, because we're always trying to get it right. And it always seems like we're getting it wrong. And so if I can give some type of wisdom and insight and perspective on how to make things work a little bit better, then I'm going to go ahead and do it. I want to say these 2 things that really kind of like helped me with the focus. I remember 6 months after I got divorced, and one of my good friends, and I'm going to tell you, he is the man whore of Chicago. Like literally, Xavier and Gina, y'all probably went on a date with him. And I won't give out his name.
Folks up in here. You will not be calling
no, absolutely not. I won't give his name. Even though he
this will exist.
Right. But probably if I was to say his name, he would love it. But he gave me some of the best relationship advice 6 months after I got divorced. He called me on New Year's Eve. And he was like, yo, Lid, man, have you started a relationship? Now, he didn't use the word relationship. You can know what he asked me, right? And I was like, of course not, man. I'm going through the grieving process. And he was like, this dude here. And I was like, no, man, my divorce has really done something to me, man. And I got to focus in on me right now and my kid. So he was like, well, let me give you some advice, Khalid, because I've been knowing you since the late 90s, brother. And you're that guy. And I'm like, well, what do you mean, man? He was like, you're the good guy in the room, Khalid. And he said, Khalid, I know when you do get back in these streets, you're going to date Black women, aren't you? I said, yes. And he said, you're going to probably date Black women around our age, right? I said, yes. He said, got it. He said, well, here, listen to this, Khalid, and take it in. And don't question me afterwards.
Oh.
He said, you are going to date the women that I've destroyed.
Oh.
And I paused because I've never heard somebody say that. Women I've destroyed. And I said, brother, I got to ask a follow-up question. What does that mean? What does that mean? He was like, Khalid, I have 8 kids by 6 women, and I've never been nobody's husband. Mm-hmm. I have slept with hundreds of women in Black Chicago, and they love it. And now they meet the goofy guy like you. And they want you, Khalid, because you're the good guy. You're the safe guy. But understand, Khalid, as a fellow clinician, they're going to want you to save them because you're the good guy in the room. Take care of you, brother. And Khalid, you need to get an edge about yourself because that's why you're divorced now, because you was a good guy. Now, guys, that would have hurt probably any other person to hear that. But what he did for me, it emancipated me as a man. Because it was from somebody who had more experience than I did. If you want to know how to save your house from being broken into, ask the thief.
Right.
Because a thief will be able to tell you better than a police officer.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But we don't think about that. We don't think about that. So I'm going to always ask the thief, how do I make my house burglar proof? Right? So if I'm going to be out here in these streets dating people, I'm going to ask the player of Chicago. And he gave it to me. And he didn't lie. When I got back out here to start the date, and of course, I must have therapists on my forehead, you know? And so when I'm sitting at Ruth Chris and I'm sitting at Applebee's, I'm sitting at Dixie's Kitchen, wherever I'm on a date is, I start hearing about what Big Walter did, what Steve did, what Tony did, what Tyrone did, what Daryl did. And I was like, my buddy did not lie to me. These women are hurt. They're hurt. So that's why I go in saying, let me give the ladies options. Let me give the ladies options. Number 2, I had a couple when I first started doing marriage therapy, and the husband asked me a simple question, but I think he was just trying to weed me out and be a little smart ass. Excuse my language. So he said, well, Mr. Scott, where's your wedding band at? And I said, well, brother, I'm divorced. And he's like, well, why don't I get marriage counseling from somebody who is divorced? So I said, well, sir, I'm going to answer your question, and please, and I'm going to use my boys' terminology, don't ever question me again. You know, I said, I've dated, courted, been engaged, been married, been separated, been divorced, and now I'm healed. So I've been through the entire spectrum of a relationship. You're only at step 5. I'm on step 8 right now, maintenance. So let me take my wisdom and love for love to help you and your wife do it a little bit better. And he was like, wow. So that's what I want my show to focus in on, taking what we've learned from relationships, the lessons that we're supposed to learn, and be better. Because what I've learned about the God that we love and trust, he will let you continue to make the same errors until you understand the assignment and get it right.
Yes.
And that's it. That's it.
Okay. So once again, I'm Khalid, when is your show?
Yes, my show is, in fact, it's next Friday. It will be the first Friday of every month from 12 to 1 p.m. And again, it's called Relationship Reflections.
Okay, and Gina, again, when is your show?
Before I say my show, Khalid, I'm gonna need you off air. I'm gonna need you to tell me who your friend is.
Oh, okay, I sure will.
No, look, Xavier. Now I'm like, I need to know. He was so right about that. I might be one of those victims. I'm gonna need to know who he was. Anyway, so my show is every third Monday. My first show is November 15th at 7 a.m. Gina Lamar Roth.
All right. We have a few people on the line. They zoomed in. If any of you have any questions for Gina or Khalid right now, you can unmute yourself. Now would be the time to ask your question. And if you're just on to listen, that's fine too. You can always listen. Okay, so we have a question.
No, I don't have a question. I just want to make a comment. This is a great show. Khalid, thank you so much. I appreciate your input, and I'm going to tune into the show. Gina, love you, and I'll see you guys soon on the show. Yeah. Can't
Thank
wait.
you, brother. Thank you.
You brought up a bunch of great points, dude. Because I find myself being that good guy, and I can't say we're just going to date and court, because everybody wants a relationship immediately, and it gets there so quickly, and I don't know. I got to listen to the show and find out some information so I can get back. That's
absolutely,
it.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, James.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you guys. You did a great job. This was a great show. I would have just called it an interview because I left you guys very little time for anything else, but I'm definitely looking forward to both of your shows. And everyone out there listening, you will probably be able to catch this show on replay, probably around Thanksgiving. This show will probably be a replay. So until Friday for you, Khalid, and the third Monday for you, Gina, I'll talk to you then.